Right now, somewhere in your city, there is a person driving a luxury car worth more than most people earn in several years. People turn their heads when he passes. They admire him. They assume he has figured life out. They assume he is rich. They assume he has one. But what if everything they believe is wrong? What if that car is financed? What if the monthly payments consume a huge portion of his income? What if the person behind the wheel is constantly stressed about money? What if the lifestyle everyone admires is actually a financial prison? This is one of the most important lessons from the psychology of money. Wealth is what you don't see. The world trains us to focus on visible signs of success, but real wealth often remains hidden. The irony is that the people who appear richest are not always wealthy, while the people who are actually wealthy often appear completely ordinary. Think about the last time you saw someone wearing an expensive watch. For a brief moment, you probably noticed the watch and made assumptions about the person's success. Maybe you imagined they were important. Maybe you assumed they earned a lot of money. But the truth is you know almost nothing about their financial situation. Human beings are storytellers. We constantly create stories based on limited information. A luxury watch becomes evidence of wealth. A large house becomes proof of success. A sports car becomes confirmation that someone has made it. Yet these assumptions can be dangerously misleading because spending money and having money are two completely different things. In fact, every dollar someone spends is a dollar they no longer own. The more visible the purchase, the less visible the sacrifice behind it. This misunderstanding drives a massive amount of human behavior. People don't just want money, they want what they believe money will bring them. Respect, admiration, status, recognition. They want other people to look at them and think they are successful. The problem is that status is expensive, very expensive. And for many people, it becomes an endless chase. The moment they buy the car, someone else buys a better car. The moment they move into a bigger house, another person moves into an even bigger one. The finish line keeps moving. No matter how much they spend, there is always someone spending more. As a result, they remain trapped in a cycle where they are constantly earning to support a lifestyle designed to impress people who are barely paying attention. One of the greatest financial traps in history is comparison. Thousands of years ago, humans lived in small groups. Comparing ourselves to others helped us understand our place in society. Today, technology has transformed comparison into a global phenomenon. Every day we open social media and instantly gain access to the lifestyles of celebrities, entrepreneurs, influencers, athletes, and strangers from around the world. We see their vacations, their homes, their cars, their achievements, and their celebrations. What we don't see are their debts, their struggles, their failures, their stress, or their sacrifices. We compare our behind-the-scenes reality to someone else's highlight reel and wonder why we feel behind. This creates a constant pressure to spend more than we should. Not because we need those things, but because we fear being left behind. The most successful investors understand something that most people never learn. The goal of money is not to impress others. The goal of money is freedom. Freedom means being able to make choices without fear. Freedom means having enough savings that a sudden emergency doesn't destroy your life. Freedom means having enough investments that your future becomes more secure every year. Freedom means being able to walk away from situations that make you unhappy. Yet freedom is invisible. Nobody can see your emergency fund. Nobody can see your retirement account. Nobody can see your investments quietly compounding in the background. That's why freedom rarely receives the same admiration as luxury. But unlike luxury, freedom continues to provide value year after year. Imagine two people who both earn exactly the same amount of money. The first person spends nearly everything he earns. Every raise becomes an excuse to upgrade his lifestyle. A bigger apartment, a newer phone, better clothes, more expensive vacations. He feels successful because his lifestyle keeps improving. The second person makes a different choice. Every raise increases the amount he saves and invests. His lifestyle improves slowly, but his assets grow quickly. For the first few years, the spender appears to be winning. His life looks more exciting, more impressive, more successful. But then something interesting happens. Time enters the equation. 10 years later, the spender still depends entirely on his next paycheck. The investor owns assets generating additional income. 20 years later, the difference becomes enormous. One person owns appearances. The other owns freedom. This is where compound growth changes everything. Most people underestimate the power of time because its effects are invisible in the beginning. A tree doesn't become massive overnight. It grows slowly. Day after day. Year after year. Wealth works the same way. Small amounts of money invested consistently may appear insignificant at first. The growth seems almost disappointing. Then something remarkable happens. The returns begin generating their own returns. Growth starts building upon growth. What once looked small becomes substantial. What once seemed insignificant becomes life-changing. The challenge is that humans naturally prefer immediate rewards. We want results now. We want progress today. We want proof that our effort matters. Compound growth demands patience. And patience is one of the rarest qualities in modern society. History is filled with people who earned extraordinary amounts of money and still ended up broke. Athletes signed contracts worth tens of millions of dollars. Celebrities earned fortunes. Lottery winners received life-changing sums. Yet many eventually lost everything. Why? Because earning money and keeping money require different skills. Earning money often requires talent, intelligence, hard work, or luck. Keeping money requires humility, discipline, patience, and self-control. These qualities are less glamorous, but they are far more important in the long run. The world celebrates people who get rich. It pays much less attention to people who stay rich. Yet staying rich is often the harder achievement. Perhaps the most valuable lesson from the psychology of money is that financial success is not primarily about intelligence. It is about behavior. Some of the smartest people in the world make terrible financial decisions. At the same time, many ordinary people quietly build wealth through simple habits repeated consistently over long periods. They spend less than they earn. They avoid unnecessary debt. They save regularly. They invest patiently. They resist the urge to impress others. These habits sound boring because they are boring. But boring is often what works. Wealth is rarely built through dramatic decisions. It is usually built through small choices repeated thousands of times. The truth is that nobody cares about your possessions as much as you think they do. People are busy worrying about their own lives, their own problems, their own dreams, their own insecurities. Yet countless individuals sacrifice their future financial security trying to impress an audience that is barely watching. This is one of the greatest misunderstandings about status. When someone sees a luxury car, they rarely spend much time admiring the owner. Instead, they imagine themselves behind the wheel. They don't admire the person as much as they admire the possibility of becoming that person. Understanding this changes everything because it reveals that external validation is often far less valuable than we imagine. At the end of your life, nobody will care how many luxury items you owned. Nobody will remember which phone you carried or which designer logo appeared on your clothes. What will matter is the freedom you created, the opportunities you had, the experiences you enjoyed, and the security you provided for yourself and the people you love. Real wealth is not measured by what you display. It is measured by what you control. It is measured by your ability to make choices. It is measured by your peace of mind. It is measured by the distance between needing money and wanting money. And that is why the richest person in the room is often the person nobody notices. Not because they lack wealth, but because they understand it. They know that wealth is silent while spending is loud. They know that freedom matters more than attention. They know that appearing rich and being rich are completely different games. Most people spend their entire lives trying to win the first game. The truly successful spend their lives winning the second.